Valari Prime was a quiet, beautiful planet. Its sky was always blue and its forests were full of strange, glowing trees. The people of Valari lived peacefully. They had never known war or fear. They spent their days farming, playing, and learning about the stars. But today was different. The sky was dark with smoke. Fires burned in the cities. The loud sounds of explosions and screams filled the air. The enemy had come. No one knew where they came from or why. They were cruel and fast. They destroyed everything they touched. In a small village near the edge of the forest, a family ran from burning homes. The mother held her baby tightly. The father carried their older son. The boy looked around with scared eyes. "Where will we go?" he asked. "We must find help," the mother said. "We must send a message to the stars." The family was not alone. Many others were hiding or running. The Valari people had no weapons. They only had hope. In the village's center, a small group of Valari worked quickly. They tried to send a distress signal to anyone who could hear. Their radio was old but still worked. "Help! Please help us," the message said, repeated again and again. "Valari Prime is under attack. We are losing. Send help." But the galaxy was far away, and Valari Prime was small. Few knew about this planet. Few knew about its people. Still, the signal traveled through space faster than any ship could fly. In a dark control room on Earth, far away from Valari Prime, the signal appeared on a large screen. It was strange and weak, but clear enough. "Is this a joke?" a young officer asked. "No joke," the commander said. He looked serious. "Valari Prime, the peaceful world. They called for help. Humans were called Deathworlders by many alien races. Earth was a dangerous place. Humans had fought hard to survive on a tough planet. They were strong, clever, and fierce. Most aliens feared humans. They thought humans were too wild. But now, humans had a choice. They could ignore the call or answer it. The commander stood up. "We will answer." In the sky above Earth, huge warships slowly moved into position. The ships were larger than any city on Valari Prime. They had weapons powerful enough to destroy whole armies. Inside one ship, soldiers prepared for battle. They checked their armor and weapons. They did not know what waited for them on Valari Prime, but they were ready. A young pilot looked out the window. His hands shook. He had never seen real war. But he knew this mission was different. "Why do they call us Deathworlders?" he asked his friend. "Because we live where others cannot," the friend said. "Because we fight when others run. Because we protect those who cannot protect themselves." The pilot nodded. He felt pride and fear. Back on Valari Prime, the sky was full of smoke. The enemy ships flew above the cities, shooting fire and dropping bombs. The Valari people hid in caves and forests. Many had lost their homes, their families, their friends. In a small room deep underground, a young Valari girl sat alone. Her eyes were wide with fear. She held a small broken toy in her hands. Suddenly, the radio crackled. "Is anyone there?" a voice said. "This is Earth. We received your signal. Help is coming." The girl's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "Thank you." But the danger was not over. Outside, the enemy moved faster. They searched for survivors. They wanted to destroy everything. The girl's family tried to escape through the forest. The father carried the baby. The mother helped the older son. They heard loud footsteps behind them. "Run!" the father shouted. But the enemy was close. The girl looked back and saw a shadow. It was big and fast. She screamed. At that moment, far away in space, the human warships prepared to jump to Valari Prime. Engines glowed bright. Lights flashed on control panels. The commander said, "Prepare to jump, we go to war." The ships vanished in a flash of light. On Valari Prime, the girl's voice was the last the radio heard before silence. "Please, help us." The signal from Valari Prime echoed through Earth's command centers. The message was clear. A peaceful world was under attack. They begged for help. And now, the humans, called Deathworlders by many, had to decide. In a large room filled with screens, and blinking lights the leaders met. They were tired but alert. Some feared the unknown enemy. Others felt anger. How dare anyone attack a helpless planet? General Kara stood up. Her voice was strong. They called for help. We are the only ones who can answer. We will bring them. Safety. She looked around the room. Prepare the warships, ready the crews. This is not just a mission. It is a promise. In space, warships gathered. Massive ships with steel hulls and glowing engines floated above Earth's atmosphere. The crew worked fast. They checked weapons, sealed airlocks, and loaded supplies. In one warship, the Vindicator, Captain Jalen paced the control room. His face was hard, but his eyes showed concern. We do not know what we face, he said, but we will not fail. Beside him, a young soldier named Mira tightened her gloves. What do we expect, sir? Jalen looked at the stars outside. A fight for survival. But more than that, we fight for justice. On Earth, the people watched news reports about the Valari Prime signal. Most had never heard of Valari Prime or the Valari people, but the message touched their hearts. Who are these people? A reporter asked on live TV. They are victims, said an expert, and we are the only hope they have. In the days before departure, many volunteers joined the mission. Doctors, engineers, and rescue teams prepared to leave Earth. Some said goodbye to their families with tears. Among the volunteers was Dr. Lila, a kind woman with a gentle smile. We go to heal, she said, but we must be ready for war too. The sea. Vindicator's crew gathered for a final briefing. Captain Jalen spoke clearly. Remember, our job is to save lives, but if the enemy stands in our way, we will fight. Outside, new weapons hummed quietly in the ship's armory. Laser cannons, missile launchers, and powerful shields were ready. The humans were not just fighters, they were warriors. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Earth's surface, a secret was waking. Long ago, before the first humans walked the Earth, ancient machines slept. Built to protect the planet from great dangers, these machines waited for a signal to rise again. Now, as the warships prepared to leave, a hidden control room activated. Lights flickered, machines powered up. It was time. Back on Valari Prime, the situation grew worse. The enemy spread destruction. Villages were burned. The Valari people hid in fear. But hope came with the distant light of human warships. One Valari. Elder looked up at the stars and whispered, "The Deathworlders answer." The fleet jumped through space. Bright flashes lit the dark void as human ships left Earth behind. They moved fast, faster than any alien fleet could imagine. Inside the Vindicator, Mira watched the stars blur past. She thought about the Valari, people, their peaceful lives, now broken. Will we be enough? She asked the captain. Jalen smiled, tired but certain. We are Deathworlders. We fight when others run. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. As they neared Valari Prime, tension grew. The enemy could be waiting in space or on the planet's surface. Suddenly, alarms rang out. The ship's sensors picked up movement. Unknown ships appeared. On the radar, Jalen's voice was calm but firm. Battle stations, prepare for contact. Outside, the stars became a battlefield. The human fleet flew through the black sky near Valari Prime. Huge warships moved like silent giants. Their metal bodies shone under distant stars. The enemy was still there, attacking cities below. Captain Jalen stood at the bridge of the Vindicator. He watched the planet grow larger on the screen. Fires burned bright. Smoke covered the blue skies. The peaceful world was now a battlefield. Prepare to enter orbit, Jalen said. We must stop this attack. On the planet, the Valari people looked up. They saw ships bigger than mountains. They did not know if the ships would bring more death or hope. The humans did not waste time. Their ships moved fast and quiet. Suddenly, lasers and missiles fired. The enemy ships tried to fight back, but human weapons were stronger. The space battle was fierce. Bright beams of light cut through darkness. Explosions lit up the void. Human pilots dodged enemy fire with skill and courage. In one small ship, Pilot Mira flew close to an enemy fighter. Her heart beat fast. She fired her lasers. The enemy ship exploded in a flash. Target destroyed, she shouted over the radio. But the fight was only beginning. After clearing space, human Marines landed on Valari Prime. They came out of giant dropships, wearing heavy armor and carrying powerful weapons. The Marines moved carefully through the ruined streets. They saw broken buildings, destroyed homes, and frightened people hiding in shadows. One human soldier named Rafe helped a Valari mother carry her injured child. The mother looked at Rafe's face, full of hope and sadness. "You came," she whispered. "We are here to help," Rafe said softly. In the city's center, human commander Jalen found a terrible sight. A village had been destroyed. The streets were empty except for a strange message written in red. "You're next," the words warned. Jalen felt a cold shiver. The enemy was not just cruel, they wanted to scare and control. He sent a message to all ships. "This is not just a battle. This is a war for survival. We must protect every person." Meanwhile, the Valari children watched the humans with curiosity. One child saw a soldier remove his helmet. The soldier's eyes were kind but strong. The child whispered, "They are not monsters. They are warriors." At night, the sky was filled with stars and warships. Fires still burned, but the humans had arrived. The Valari people began to believe in hope again. The battle on Valari Prime was not over. The human warships orbited the planet, their huge guns ready. On the ground, human soldiers moved carefully, searching for survivors and enemies. Captain Jalen stood in the command tent looking at the reports. The enemy was strange, not like anything the humans had fought before. Their ships had no clear markings, no flags, no words. They were cold, ruthless, and cruel. One prisoner had been captured during a raid. She was weak and scared. The soldiers brought her to the camp's medical tent. Dr. Lila gently examined her. "Who are they?" Lila asked quietly. The prisoner's eyes were wide. "They are not like any known race," she whispered. "They come from the dark places between stars. They take what they want. They don't fight for land or power, they take souls." Jalen frowned. "Souls?" The prisoner nodded. "They harvest life. They kill not just bodies but spirits. Their weapons burn deeper than fire." This was worse than anyone thought. The human soldiers tightened their grip on Valari Prime. They knew the enemy was dangerous, but now they understood the enemy was terrifying. Meanwhile, the prisoners' camp was tense. Some Valari spoke in hushed voices. "If they want souls," one said, "then we must fight harder. We cannot let them win." Jalen gathered his officers. "We face a new kind of enemy. We must be careful, but we must be strong." Outside the camp, the enemy continued their attacks. They moved silently in the forests and hills, striking fast and disappearing like shadows. Human scouts reported strange signs. The enemy used weapons that could freeze minds, control thoughts, and cause pain without a single shot fired. Soldier Mira was on patrol when she felt a sudden chill. Her head ached. For a moment she could not move, but her training took over. She fought back, shouting for help. A fellow soldier found her and pulled her away from the dark woods. "Stay close," he said. "Their power is not just physical." The soldiers realized they were fighting more than guns and bombs. They were fighting fear itself. Back at the command tent, Captain Jalen stared at a screen showing enemy movements. Suddenly a warning flashed. "Enemy ship detected," the officer said. "Approaching fast, heading to Earth." Jalen's eyes narrowed. "They want to bring this war to Earth." He sent an urgent message to Earth Command. "Prepare defenses. The enemy is not just here. They are coming to us." On Valari Prime, the Valari people gathered around the humans. They shared stories of the enemy's cruelty, how they took villages, burned crops, and left nothing but death behind. A Valari elder told the soldiers, "They are like ghosts. They enter your mind and steal your hope." The humans listened, carefully. They had to learn quickly. One night, Captain Jalen walked alone near the camp's edge. The air was heavy and cold. He saw a group of Valari children playing quietly by a fire. Their faces were tired, but they smiled when they saw him. One child gave Jalen a small, glowing flower. "For protection," she said. Jalen felt a sudden warmth in his heart. These children were why he fought. But danger was never far. Suddenly the ground shook. Alarms blared. The enemy was attacking again. The soldiers rushed to their posts. The enemy came like shadows, fast and silent. Explosions lit the night. Jalen led the defense. The humans fought with all their strength. The Valari joined them, fighting beside their new friends. After the battle, Jalen found a strange symbol carved into a tree. It was dark and twisted. "This is a warning," he said. "They want to scare us, but we will not be afraid." Meanwhile, the enemy made one last cruel move. In the ruins of a village, they left a device that sent out a powerful signal. The signal was not a call for help. It was a call for death. Captain Jalen studied the device. It was like nothing he had ever seen. It pulsed with dark energy. "This weapon is dangerous," Jalen said. "We must destroy it before it hurts more people." The human engineers worked quickly. They risked their lives to break the device's power. Finally, the device exploded in a bright flash. The humans had won this fight, but the war was far from over. Captain Jalen knew one thing clearly. The enemy was not just fighting for territory. They wanted to destroy hope. And if they succeeded, all would be lost. The real enemy was more terrible than anyone imagined, and the Deathworlders would need all their strength to survive. The war on Valari Prime was far from over. Though the human Deathworlders had pushed the enemy back from the cities in space, the real battle was only beginning. The forests of Valari Prime hid many dangers, some known, some unknown. "Captain." Jalen stood outside the command tent early one morning. The air was cool and filled with the scent of wet earth and green leaves. But beneath this calm, he felt the weight of the fight ahead. "The enemy is not just in the cities or the skies," he said quietly to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mara. "They hide in the forests. They use the shadows as their weapon." Mara nodded. "We need to find them before they find us." The forests of Valari Prime were strange and alive. Trees glowed softly at night, and strange sounds echoed in the dark. The Valari people said the forest was ancient and wise, but now it was a place of fear. Jalen led a small team of soldiers and Valari scouts into the dense forest. Their weapons were ready, but their eyes searched carefully for any sign of the enemy. For hours, the group moved quietly. The forest seemed peaceful, but the soldiers knew better. Every shadow could hide a threat. Every sound could mean danger. Suddenly, a sharp cry broke the silence. "Ambush!" shouted one of the soldiers. Dark figures burst from behind the trees. The enemy attacked quickly and fiercely. The soldiers fired back, but the enemy seemed to disappear into the shadows as fast as they came. Mira, the pilot-turned-soldier, ducked behind a large, glowing tree. Her heart pounded. The enemy's weapons were strange. They sent sharp beams of light that seemed to burn not just flesh but willpower itself. She saw one enemy soldier aiming at a Valari scout. Without thinking, Mira fired. The enemy dropped, but more came, from the dark. Jalen shouted orders, but the forest was confusing and thick. The soldiers could not see the full battle. Suddenly the ground shook under their feet. A loud roar came from the depths of the forest. The Valari scouts froze. "The Guardians," one whispered. Jalen's eyes widened. He had heard stories about the Guardians, huge ancient creatures said to protect the forest. No one had seen them in centuries. The forest grew darker as giant shapes moved between the trees. The Guardians were alive. To everyone's surprise, the Guardians did not attack the humans or Valari. Instead, they charged at the enemy, smashing with great claws and powerful bodies. The enemy was caught off guard. They fought back, but the Guardians were strong and fast. One by one, the enemy soldiers fell or fled deeper into the forest. When the battle ended, the forest grew quiet again. The Guardians disappeared as mysteriously as they had come. Jalen looked at the Valari scouts. "We are not alone," he said. This forest has power we do not understand. The Villari elder who had come with the group nodded. The forest is alive with old magic. It will protect those who respect it. The humans rested and cared for their wounded. Mira sat by a fire, thinking about the strange fight. We fight enemies with guns and ships, she said quietly. But here, the forest fights too. Captain Jalen looked at the sky, which was slowly turning dark. We must learn from this place. If we want to win, we must understand Villari Prime, its people, its land, and its secrets. Back at the camp, Dr. Lila treated the injured. The Villari children came to her, curious but scared. One little girl with bright eyes gave Lila a small wooden charm. For protection, she said. Lila smiled and thanked her. The small gifts and moments of kindness gave her hope. But far away, hidden in the shadows, the enemy watched. They were angry and afraid. The Guardians and the humans had stopped their quick victories. Their leader, a dark figure with cold eyes, clenched his fists. They bring death and war, he hissed, but we bring fear. We will crush hope. He turned to his generals. Send spies into the forests, find the secrets of the Guardians, destroy them, and bring Villari Prime to its knees. The enemy's hatred grew stronger. The war was no longer just about conquest. It was about total destruction. Captain Jalen and his team prepared for what was coming. The forests were alive with danger and mystery, but the humans and Villari would not give up. Together, they would fight in the shadows. The real fight for Villari Prime was only beginning. The war on Villari Prime was dragging on. The humans and Villari fought side by side. Trust and friendship grew between them, but the enemy was clever. They had new plans, dark plans that no one expected. Captain Jalen stood in the command tent, reading reports from the front lines. The battles were fierce, but there was something wrong. The enemy seemed to know their every move, as if someone was giving them secrets. Lieutenant Mara entered quietly. "Sir, we have reports of a spy inside our camp," she said. Jalen's face tightened. "A spy? Among us?" "Yes. Someone is sending information to the enemy." Jalen took a deep breath. "We must find this traitor before more lives are lost." Meanwhile, the Villari people whispered among themselves. Suspicion grew like a dark cloud. Friends looked at each other with doubt. No one felt safe. Jalen called a meeting of his closest officers. "We have to be careful. The enemy uses fear and lies, but we cannot let this break us." One soldier, Rafe, spoke up. "I saw someone near the communications room late last night. He did not belong there." Jalen nodded. "Good. We will watch closely." That night, the camp was quiet. Soldiers slept or kept watch, but in the shadows, a figure moved silently. The spy crept toward the communications tent. Inside, the spy began sending messages. He was calm but nervous. The enemy waited for his signal. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his shoulder. "Got you," said Mira. The spy turned, eyes wide with fear. Jalen entered. "Why?" he asked. "Why betray us?" The spy's voice was low. "They promised safety. They said they would spare my family." Jalen's face was hard. "You chose to help the enemy. You chose to betray your friends." The spy was taken away, but the damage was done. Enemy attacks became stronger and more coordinated. The camp's defenses were tested like never before. One morning, the enemy struck at dawn. Explosions shook the ground. Fires burned through the trees. The Villari and humans fought back, but it was chaos. Jalen led the defense. His heart burned, with anger and sadness. "Hold the line," he shouted. "We fight for Villari Prime and each other." The battle lasted for hours. Many soldiers were hurt, but the enemy was pushed back. After the fight, the Villari elder spoke to Jalen. "Betrayal is a heavy shadow, but the strongest light comes from trust." Jalen nodded. "We will rebuild that trust." That night, the camp was quiet again. The spy's betrayal had shaken them, but the humans and Villari grew stronger. They shared stories and food. They laughed and cried together. Mira sat with the Valari children. She told them stories of Earth and stars. One child asked, "Will the enemy come again?" Mira smiled softly. "They will try, but we are ready." Captain Jalen stood outside, looking at the stars. The war was hard, and the enemy was cruel. But the humans, Deathworlders, never gave up. The battle for Valari Prime was not just about war, it was about hope, trust, and the fight to protect what was right. The war on Valari Prime had reached its peak. The enemy was desperate, sending all their forces to crush the humans, and Valari once and for all. The skies were filled with warships, and the ground shook under the steps of giant machines. Captain Jalen stood on the bridge of the Vindicator. His eyes were tired but full of determination. "This is it," he said. "We fight for everything, for our people, for Valari Prime, and for hope." The Valari warriors gathered beside the humans. Their faces showed courage and pain. They had lost so much, but they refused to give up. Lieutenant Mara checked her weapons. "They are coming in waves, we must hold strong." The enemy fleet moved closer. Their ships darkened the stars, ready to fire. Suddenly, the first blast hit the human warships. Explosions rocked the Vindicator. The battle had begun. In the sky, fighter pilots like Mira danced between enemy fire. She fired her lasers with skill and fear. Each enemy ship she destroyed brought a small victory, but the numbers were overwhelming. On the ground, soldiers like Rafe and the Valari warriors fought side by side. The enemy sent giant machines to crush them, but the defenders stood firm. The forest, once silent, was now alive with battle cries and explosions. Captain Jalen gave orders with steady voice. "Hold the line, protect the civilians." Suddenly, a massive enemy machine broke through the defense. It moved like a mountain, firing beams that burned everything. Jalen and Mara watched in horror as the machine crushed a Valari village. "Have to stop it," Mara said. Jalen nodded. "Take your team and find a way to destroy it." Mira flew overhead, scouting. She spotted a weak spot, a glowing core on the machine's back. "Here's your chance," she said over the radio. Rafe and his squad moved fast through the rubble. The machine fired at them, but they dodged and climbed onto it. With courage and skill, they reached the core. Rafe planted explosives and ran. The explosion rocked the machine. It stumbled and fell, sending dust and fire into the air. The battle was turning. Back on the Vindicator, Captain Jalen saw the enemy fleet beginning to retreat. The Deathworlders had won the day, but the cost was heavy. The Valari villages were damaged. Many lives were lost. The forests were scarred. Jalen looked at the faces of the survivors. "We have fought hard," he said, "but now we must heal." The Valari elder stepped forward. "You saved us from destruction. You brought hope." Jalen smiled softly. "We fight for hope, for all life." As the sun rose over Valari Prime, the fires burned low. The sky cleared. The warships flew home. The people of Valari Prime and the humans stood together, tired but free. The Deathworlders had answered the call for help, and they had brought peace. The war was over. Valari Prime lay quiet beneath the soft light of its twin suns. The forests still glowed faintly in the early morning, as if waking from a long nightmare. Captain Jalen stood on a hill overlooking the land. The scars of battle were clear: burned trees, broken buildings, empty villages. But there was also new life. Small plants grew in the ashes. Birds sang from the branches. Beside him, the Valari elder smiled gently. "This world is strong. It will heal, just as we will." Jalen nodded. "We came here as strangers. Now we leave as friends." The humans and Valari had fought side by side. They had faced fear, loss, and betrayal. But in the end, they had found hope and strength in each other. Mira joined them, wiping dirt and sweat from her face. "We saved this place. But now the real work begins." "Rebuilding," said the elder. "Healing the wounds, teaching our children to live in peace." The Valari children played nearby, their laughter bright and full of promise. Jalen turned to his team. "We will stay for a while," he said, "to help rebuild and protect. This world is now our home too." The people of Valari Prime welcomed the humans with open arms. Together they planted new trees, repaired homes, and shared stories of the past and dreams for the future. One evening, as the stars appeared in the sky, Jalen and Mira stood watching. "Do you think the enemy will come back?" Mira asked. Jalen looked at the distant stars. "Maybe, but we are ready now. We have each other, and we will never face the darkness alone." The Valari elder joined them. "The darkness is always near, but so is the light. It is up to us to choose." In the quiet night, a small glow appeared near the forest edge. It was a guardian, watching over the new peace. Jalen smiled. A new dawn has come. The war was over, but the story of Valari Prime and the Deathworlders was just beginning.